This morning, frustrations are mounting among the 40,000 Australians who are still stranded overseas as they watch not just international tennis players fly in, but also Australia's High Commissioner to the UK, George Brandis, who reportedly flew home for a holiday with family.
We're joined now by Mez Gallifuoco, who is in New Jersey in the United States, and David Raggett in Tuscany in Italy. Gee, that's a nice spot normally. Let's go to you first of all, Mez. Tell us about your situation and why you haven't been able to come home sooner.
So I was actually pregnant when coronavirus hit, and we were given 2 days to kind of pack up our entire lives and go back to Australia. My partner is American, so we tried to get exemptions for him to come, and he got denied twice. So it was either I give birth in Australia and he's not there for the birth of our daughter, or I gave birth here with no insurance, which is what ended up happening.
So, I mean, and I know your little baby, you've just put the little bub down to bed because she was a bit grumpy this morning. But, I mean, how are you feeling? Because you're stuck in New Jersey, you've got a new baby. I also know you have MS. You don't have access to the American health system. How are you not considered a high priority to bring back to Australia?
I have no idea, Ali, to be honest. We've alerted so many of the authorities. We've written letters. The first year postpartum for women with MS has a higher risk rate. So there's a 70% higher risk of a relapse during this time. All my neurologists, my doctors are in Australia. We've been trying to get back for months. Our flights keep getting cancelled. Otherwise, all the flights are incredibly expensive. There's one in February that the cheapest is $22,000. So I'm not sure how we're not considered high risk. I don't know what else to do, really.
Do you know what? It gives me the shudders thinking of going into something like that without insurance in the United States. It's such a deeply flawed medicinal system, isn't it? Now, that must have worried you.
Oh, it's terrifying. And, I'm sure everyone's watching it from back home, but the States is in shambles at the moment. So their medical system is inundated. It's completely privatized. So there's not a lot of help or room here. We're already in debt from the birth. So it is really terrifying. It's very different to Australia. And I would love to just get home and get some help. And, we have no family or help here anyway with the baby. So it's literally just us and me trying to remain healthy.
Oh my gosh, I mean, it breaks your heart that we're still talking about these stories, that there are still 40,000 Australians who can't get home. David Raggett in Tuscany, Italy, you're one of them. And I mean, David, your situation, I know that your wife and your one-year-old daughter, Adelaide, they were able to get back to Australia in December, but now you and your 3-year-old son are stranded in Italy. What kind of toll is that taking on your family?
Yeah, it's been a little bit distressing, especially yesterday when my flights were cancelled again. And then this morning I had to explain to my child that we weren't going to see his mum. So it was a little bit distressing this morning before I had to take him off to school. And obviously it's difficult for my wife. Yesterday, my daughter Adelaide was born on Australia Day last year, so just before we went into lockdown here in Italy. So that was a bit of a tough day. I'm missing her birthday. Sorry, Karl?
I was just going to say, we can see the pain in your eyes. Are you holding up all right?
Yeah, up and down, yeah. So it's just the fact that we're just a little bit stressed trying to get everything done. I don't have any family here. Really, I've only got a couple of mates who are helping me, and they've got little kids too. And one of them actually, he's got a two-month-old, and he comes and helps me out when he can. So it's been a little bit stressful. Lost my job here, so as well, which makes life a little bit hard. And trying to get back to Australia.
So, and that's the thing, isn't it, that I think a lot of people perhaps don't understand, that when Scott Morrison at the beginning of the pandemic said, it was like resign immediately, pack your bags and return home immediately, you guys have lives set up overseas. It's not as easy to do that in a couple of days. But Mez, when you see someone like George Brandis, the UK High Commissioner, coming back to Australia, and we should clarify that part of his trip back to Australia was for business, but how does it feel when it looks like there's one rule for some and one rule for the rest of you?
Look, it's a bit of a slap in the face if we're going to be really honest about it. I would never deny an Aussie trying to come home for a holiday, but I just would love for it to be communicated that we are being prioritized. At the moment, I don't feel like there's a clear communication that there's a priority to get all these Australians home. It's been a year that we've been trying to get home, and so to see something like that makes it feel, I don't know, I feel a bit deflated. And I know the community feels a little bit deflated. I've spoken to several Aussies globally and on social media, there's not a lot of hope that the government is actually looking out for us.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to come home. And none of this is easy logistically. But Dave, what's the message you'd like to get out there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same sort of message, I guess. We're Australians, and Australians, what I remember, we look after each other. So for us, I think it's a bit at the moment where people are booking flights and then flights are getting cancelled. It's not really a proactive response, I think, by the government at the moment, to maybe organise the accommodation or the quarantine before the flights, if that's possible. I guess sort of like a New Zealand model on that respect, which I think would probably avoid some of the pain and especially that we've been going through with flights being cancelled. And my wife was lucky enough to get her flight back to Australia. But the 2 weeks before, she was so stressed every time she saw an email from the company to fly, she was just in tears. Because she was thinking she was going to get cancelled. She had to get back to work. I need to get back. I'm supposed to start work here in the wine industry in 3 weeks. I had to write to my boss this morning saying, I'm really sorry, put you in difficulty. There's nothing I can do. I've tried to contact the Australian embassy today. They were shut, Australia Day. So they didn't write back to me. They didn't respond by email either. And so it just we feel a little bit abandoned, I think.
Oh.
I can hear it in your voice and see it in your face, guys. We hope you do get home soon, and I think we've got to find a solution to this. It's been too long. It's a difficult one, but our thoughts are with you both.